Good morning, Mr. Speaker. I will not be the only person who was disappointed at the Leader's response to the Shadow Leader of the House a moment ago. 3 out of the 4 countries in the United Kingdom have introduced tougher restrictions on the public since we last had these exchanges. England will likely follow suit. Across all of them, there is a core message of avoiding unnecessary travel and working from home where possible. Surely it is time for this chamber to lead by example. Many people will feel that the Leader's attempts to equate the role of MPs with that of frontline healthcare staff is somewhat shameless. Doctors cannot treat sick people without being physically present. That is not the case for MPs. Everything we do could be done remotely. It's just that we choose not to, with the government instead putting on a show in the chamber in a vain attempt at normality. With lockdowns intensifying, this cannot continue. So when will the Leader switch the remote voting system back on as recommended by the Procedures Committee? And when will the government abandon this arbitrary distinction which allows members to ask questions online but forbids them from moving resolutions or taking part in debates? Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I want to return to the question of Scottish independence. The Leader may have seen the latest opinion poll published yesterday by Ipsos Mori, which shows 58% for independence. When I asked the Leader last week if he would regard victory by unionist parties at next May's general election as a mandate for the union, he did not answer. So I ask him again. And if he truly believes that the election has no relevance to the union because of a prior democratic event 7 years before, then can he confirm that the Conservatives will not be campaigning on that question at the forthcoming election? More importantly, Mr. Speaker, if the UK government is determined to ignore the settled will of the Scottish people, can we have a debate on the consequences for the union? It seems that we are moving away from government by consent, and the UK government desires to keep Scotland in the union against the will of the people who live there. If so, Parliament ought to be told.
The House.
Mr. Speaker, the honourable gentleman is disappointed with me, and this is a yoke I shall have to bear. It is, I fear, his default position to be disappointed with me, and I'm afraid in my answers today his disappointment will only grow. And I am sorry about that, but nonetheless, I must proceed. The House made a decision to be back in physical form and voted to return to physical voting, a system that is working effectively and ensures our business can be done, and is essential for debates that we are here. That the whole point of a debate is to challenge, to question, to intervene. That isn't possible remotely. For ministers, when we had that brief period of legislation going through remotely, it could not have been easier. All the minister had to do was read out the prepared blurb. Nothing could be intervened upon. Nothing could be questioned. When we are here, being heckled by the Labour chief whip, when we are here, interventions can come from a sedentary position, which may get the pith and moment of the debate, as the right honourable gentleman is so good at doing. And that leads to proper, informed debate. Even Mr. Speaker's intervening now, which is procedurally...
We're not going to have interventions in business questions, though. Come on, Leader.
I'm very reassured, Mr. Speaker, that you're sticking to the rules. So it is essential that we have debates in person. Otherwise, the government is not held to account. Then we come on to the question of the United Kingdom. The vote was held in 2014, and it was won by the Unionists. And the Scottish National Party said at the time that it was for a generation. Now, I know they are now a bit embarrassed about Alex Salmond, their former leader, and almost the creator of their success. I know that they are cautious about the text messages that they've sent and forgetful about some of the meetings that the current leader held with him. I mean, it is amusing, actually, Mr. Speaker, that as I understand it, the current leader of the Scottish National Party, Mrs. Sturgeon, was so busy preparing to answer questions in the Scottish Parliament that she forgot what she'd been discussing at other times of the day. I don't find these memory lapses occur when I prepare for business questions, but never mind that particular point. It was said it would last for a generation, and a generation is not 7 years, And what will we campaign on? The success of the Union. £7.2 billion that has gone to Scotland, 779,500 jobs in the furlough scheme. The United Kingdom taxpayer is able to afford this because it is the taxpayers of England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland coming together for the greater good of our wonderful nation.